quote, "This was an illegal act," close quote. A federal court judge just told the Trump administration. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, the Trump administration's crime spree continues, but it's being called out by judge after judge after judge. Today's Trump travesty, well, you may recall that ICE agents seized a young man named Arbrego Garcia without a warrant, without any lawful or constitutional basis to grab him, to seize him, to arrest him, to detain him. They took him and they stuffed him on a plane and they sent him to a prison in El Salvador, the very country from which he fled gang violence. On top of it all, Arbrego Garcia had a court order prohibiting the U.S. government from deporting him to El Salvador. Well, friends, today, a federal court judge just ordered the Trump administration to return Garcia to the United States pronto. Let's start with the new reporting. This from NPR. Headline: Judge orders the Trump administration to return man who was mistakenly deported. And that article begins, a federal judge in Maryland Friday ordered the Trump administration to take immediate steps to return a Maryland man who was deported to a Salvadoran mega prison by mistake, setting up another high-stakes clash between the White House and the courts. This from the judge. Quote, "This was an illegal act." U.S. Federal District Judge Paula Xinis told Justice Department lawyers at a federal court hearing in Greenbelt, Maryland, about the deportation of Kilmar Arbrego Garcia, who lived in the U.S. legally and had a work permit. Arbrego Garcia was arrested and deported last month despite having been granted protection by an immigration judge in 2019 that should have prevented him from being deported to El Salvador. Judge Xinis ordered the government to return Arbrego Garcia to the U.S. by 11:59 p.m. on Monday, April 7. She said keeping him in El Salvador constitutes irreparable harm. Quote, "From the moment he was seized, it was unconstitutional," Judge Xinis said during the hearing. Quote, "If there isn't a document, a warrant, a statement of probable cause, then there is no basis to have seized him in the first place. That's how I'm looking at it," the judge said. The Justice Department admits that Arbrego Garcia was deported because of an administrative error. But DOJ lawyers argued in court papers that he's a member of the criminal gang MS-13 and that the judge lacks authority to order his return since Arbrego Garcia is no longer in the U.S. Garcia's lawyers told the court that's nonsense and said the Department of Homeland Security should bring Arbrego Garcia back from El Salvador immediately. Quote, "They're coming before this court and saying, 'We've tried nothing and we're all out of options,'" said Simon Sandoval Maschenberg, one of Arbrego Garcia's lawyers. Arbrego Garcia had been living in Maryland with his wife and children, all U.S. citizens, when he was arrested by ICE officers last month. Quote, "In a blink of an eye, our 3 children lost their father, and I lost the love of my life. His mother lost his son, his siblings lost their brother," said Jennifer Vasquez, Arbrego Garcia's wife, at a press conference earlier Friday in Maryland. Quote, "Our entire family is broken by ICE's error," she said, and described Arbrego Garcia as a dedicated father and great husband who pushes everyone around to find their happiness, even in tough times. But friends, despite a total lack of evidence, these third-rate DOJ lawyers kept suggesting to Judge Xinis that, well, Arbrego Garcia was a dangerous gang member. Here's how the judge responded to that evidence-free argument. Quote, "That's just chatter, in my view. I haven't been given any evidence," Judge Xinis said. "In a court of law, when someone is accused of membership in such a violent and predatory organization, it comes in the form of an indictment, a complaint, a criminal proceeding that then has robust process so we can assess facts." I mean, the nerve of that judge, wanting actual facts, actual evidence, supporting the claims of the DOJ lawyers that, you know, this Garcia guy is dangerous, he's a gang member, just take our word for it. You know, you may have heard the saying before that when lawyers have the facts on their side, they pound on the facts. When they have the law on their side, they pound on the law. When they have neither on their side, they just pound on the table. Make a lot of noise, a lot of bluster, use it all as a distraction. And the DOJ lawyers have neither the facts supporting their claims on their side, and they sure don't have the law on their side, because it is beyond argument, beyond dispute, that they snatched up Mr. Garcia with no lawful basis to do it, and they deported him in what is an absolutely unconstitutional manner. They have neither the facts nor the law on their side, so all they can do is sort of meekly pound on the table. You know, friends, once we move through the Trump-induced darkness and back into the light, when government officials and DOJ attorneys are once again loyal to the rule of law and the Constitution and the oath they took, I mean, their responsibility is to represent the interests of the American people, not to represent the interests of the man in the Oval Office who is obviously on a damn crime spree, acting lawlessly and unconstitutionally. And judges are telling him so. They are ruling that so much of what he's doing is lawless and unconstitutional, and yet these DOJ lawyers go in and argue in favor of that unconstitutionality. They prop up his lawlessness. I was a federal prosecutor for 30 years. My job, my responsibility, my oath was the exact opposite of that. I didn't pledge loyalty to the man in the Oval Office. I pledged loyalty to the Constitution. I upheld the rule of law and the rights of all the American people. I argued in favor of the interests of the American people, not against the interests of the American people. But that's what these DOJ lawyers are doing. And when we move back into the light of lawfulness and constitutionality, these lawyers will have to be held accountable for what they did. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.